Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is 401 Styling. In this tutorial, we're going to be learning how to cut and sew this beautiful baby bow dress that we drafted the pattern in my previous tutorial. If this look like something you're interested in, kindly watch to the end. Here are the materials that I'm going to be using for this project. You can make use of any fabric of your choice, but for the main fabric, I'm going to be using this African print, also known as Ankara fabric. I have a matching lining. Then I have a bridal satin, which is going to be the base and lining for the nets. Then I also have these two nets of about 10 yards. Then I have my crinoline, also known as horsehair braid. Then I have a matching zip, and of course my pattern. I'll be dropping the link to the drafting of this pattern in my description box. Kindly check the video out. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now is to transfer all this pattern to my main fabric and my lining. So the part, I'm going to be cutting two pieces for the back, then I'm going to cut the front on fold. So guys, I'm done doing that, and this is what I have. I cut two for the fabric and two for the lining. Then as for the front, I cut on fold, so I have two pieces for the front and I have four pieces for the back. Then after that, I added my stitching allowance to the neckline area alone, because I already had my stitching allowance to all my pattern except for the back neckline. And this is because we have two different type of necklines. So if you watch the video of pattern drafting, you will understand better, because I illustrate how to draft two type of back neckline. So what I'm going to do next now is to turn the front and the back piece using this lining. Just like you see me doing, you're going to place the lining on the right side of the fabric like so. Then you're going to sew the neckline and the armhole. Because I'm not going to have a sleeve on this, if you are going to have a sleeve, you might not need to turn the armhole. Then as for the back as well, I'm going to place the lining on the fabric right side facing each other. Then I'm going to stitch down the back neckline and the armhole for the back as well. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of the back piece. I'm done doing that, and here is what it's going to look like. After which you are done with this, you should top stitch on the neckline and also on the armhole. Then you're going to have something like this. The side and the down part is going to be open. Same thing applies to the back. There will be no need of sewing that because we do not have a dart on the pattern. Okay, the armhole, the shoulder, the zip allowance, and the side is going to be open. So what we are going to do now, we are going to be taking the side seam, and the kind of finishing we are going to use for this is going to be a total finishing. So you're going to place the fabric on each other like so. You're going to take the sewing allowance, fabric to fabric, lining to lining, meaning you're going to be joining fabric together. So guys, this is what it's going to look like by the time you're done. As you can see, the raw edges is secured both front and back. Just like we used to do our inseam finishing, it is only the back that is going to be open, and we are also going to be turning the shoulder as well. So now we are going to measure the waist circumference, because we need to get the measurement that we are going to use to cut out the peplum. So I have 26 inches including the zipper allowance. I have folded my fabric into 4 because we are going to be cutting it just like we used to cut our full circle. After folding your fabric into 4, you calculate your radius. You calculate your radius by dividing your circumference by 6.28, and whatever you get, you're going to measure from this top edge down like so, and you mark it all round just like the way you see me doing. After that, you are going to measure from this point now down to your peplum length. So for this one, I'm going to be using 7 inches for the length, and I'm going to measure the 7 inches round like so. After that, you're going to cut it out, and whatever you cut on the fabric, you're going to do the same thing on the lining. You can either place the fabric and the lining on each other, mark it and cut it out together, or you use your fabric to cut out the lining. So after this, because it's going to be a full circle, this is how it's going to look like. So what you're going to do now is to open up one side. Just fold it like this so that it will be easier. Now I've opened up one side because we are going to have one opening, which is going to be the zipper allowance area. So what I'm going to do now is to place the lining on it. I already cut out the lining. I'm going to place the lining on it, then I'm going to place the horsehair braid, also known as the crinoline, on it like so. Then I'm going to stitch it down using 0.5 stitching allowance. After that, I'm going to turn to the right side, top stitch on the lining, then I'm going to iron it. So now I want to cut the lining and the underlay for the net. What I'm trying to do here is to cut an half circle. You can make yours half circle, and you can also cut a full circle. You are also going to be using the waist circumference to calculate and get the radius, just like you cut your circle. And you can also add to the measurements that you have. If you have like 25, you can add 5 or 10 inches, just to make just to have a fuller or a wider lining. Okay, so I'm going to be doing this now. What I'm doing here is to mark the length of the lining and also to cut out the radius. So for the lining, is going to be 2 inches shorter than the main fabric, that is the full length of the dress. So if the full length of the dress is 23, your line is going to be like 21 inches. So you're going to cut 2 of this. Now I'm done cutting and this is what I have. So after cutting it now, you are going to secure the edge. So it's either you fold in half an inch or you just weave the edge like so. Now we want to cut the net itself. So to get the length of the net now, you are going to subtract your full length, that is the dress length, from the half length. So whatever you have left is what you're going to use to cut the lining. What I'm doing here is just trying to cut off these raw edges so that I'll be able to have a accurate edge to start my measurement from. So whatever your measurement is, you cut it. I folded all the 10 yards together like this. Then I cut out the length from the net length, like the wideness of the net. That is where I cut it out from. So just like you see me doing, I'm going to cut it, and at the end I'm going to be having like three pieces, like 3 parts. It's going to be in 3 parts. So all the 3 parts now, I'm going to run a gather stitch on the edges of all the 3 parts, and I'm going to gather them back. And so after cutting out, depending on the length that you're working with, yours might be more than 3 and you can also have less than that. So after this now, I'm going to run a gather stitch on all of this and I'm going to gather them. After you are gather it, you're going to place it on the hem of the lining like so. So this one that I have here is going to be the first layer immediately after the net, and this is what it looks like. So I have about 4 layers all together. Then I stitch it down on the waist area of the lining. So the way I stitch it, I didn't sew it all together on one spot, so I place it on each other, like I place it layers by layers. Now I'm done with the Ankara, and this is what it looks like. I added excess to the peplum when I was cutting. That is why I pleated it like so, because I wanted to get that wavy effect. So you can cut 360, you can also cut 720 degree. Now, and then for the other lining that is going to be the last one, I cut add net and I pleated it on it just to help raise the 2 nets. Okay, so you can have as many layers as possible. So now the next thing we are going to do now is to be attaching the down part to the upper part, that is the half length. And the way we are going to be doing this, we are still going to maintain our inseam finishing. So for you to be able to do that, you open up the fabric and lining like so, join the fabric to fabric and lining to lining. I'm going to start by joining the Ankara peplum to the waistline. So you find the midpoint of the Ankara like so, find the midpoint of the bodice, and I'm going to mark it with my chalk just to demarcate the midpoint. So I'm going to find the midpoint on the Ankara peplum again, just like I have here. I already have the point here. Then I'm going to hold it, then I'm going to secure it with paint like so. After which you have attached the peplum to the main fabric, you're going to come in with this your 2 nets like so, and you place it on it and secure it with a pin as well. So you're going to be having like 3 layers for the front alone: the main fabric, that is the bodice, the peplum, and the 2 net itself. So you need to be careful when you are doing this. So I'm going to arrange this properly from the beginning to the end. Then you're going to do the same thing for the lining as well. So, and as for the lining, I'm going to be joining the lining to this particular fabric that I have my net on it. So it has excess, I'm going to pleat in the excess on it. So guys, I'm done joining together, and this is what it's going to look like. As you can see, the 2 net is going to be in between the lining and the fabric. So guys, this is what the inside is going to look like. The lining will be separate while the fabric will be separate. So you can have another layer of add net. This will just help to push up your 2 net the more, depending on how much more 2 net you have. So, and this is what the wrong side of the dress is going to look like. There will be no stitching allowance, no raw edges inside, and then everything is just going to be intact like so. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to be fixing a zipper at the back. Before we fix the zipper, we are going to be joining the shoulder together, and for you to do that, you need to, so I'm going to be turning in, I'm going to turn in the shoulder like so. So I'm going to put in the front shoulder inside the back shoulder like so, aligning the front and the back, fabric to fabric, lining to lining. So after this, I'm going to stitch down with the added sewing allowance. So the same thing applies to the other side of the sleeve like so. So you place it on each other like this first, then you are going to tuck in the front shoulder into the back shoulder, or vice versa. So after which you are done tucking it in like so, you place it, you align it together, and you stitch down with 0.5 or whatever allowance you added. Then after this, you are going to be fixing the back zip. So as I'm done fixing the zipper, and this is what we have at the end, I went ahead to cut a bow using the bridal satin and the Ankara fabric. If you want to see how I cut this bow, kindly let me know in the comment section. Then I went ahead to attach a rope by the side. That one is optional. If you do not want to have a rope, fine. And if you want to have a rope, you can simply make a rope. That'll be all for this tutorial. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in, and do not forget to like this video, share, so that we can reach as many people as possible. This will encourage me to do more. And please do not forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification bell, so that whenever I drop a new video, you will be the first person to be notified. And check the description box. I have links to some of my other interesting tutorials, including the part 1 of this tutorial. Till next time that we'll meet again, bye bye, and take care of yourself. Thank you.